Hi, my name's Roberto, and if you're here to learn more about speaking Spanish, you've come to the right place. Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at how babies learn to speak Spanish. Not only that, but we're going to talk about comparing babies learning to speak English and learning to speak Spanish as babies. And to top that off, we're going to compare how babies learn to speak English or Spanish as babies and how adults would learn to speak Spanish or English as adults. Learning to speak a new language should be really easy. It's so easy that even a baby can do it. If you stick around, we'll be doing some more discussions about how to learn to speak Spanish as an adult and what we can do, how we can do it, and why. Why are we going to do it this way, the way that I'm going to suggest? So stick around. Let's get right into this video here. The right place to start is at birth or right after birth. He's been used to listening to the heart for 9 months. And now he's born and he relates love and comfort and happiness to the vibrations. And this is what I want to talk about. The vibrations are the most important part of learning to speak a language, because languages, as I'm speaking to you right now, there's vibrations going through the air from my mouth into the speaker and into wherever you are right now. Now these vibrations, we've gotten used to these vibrations, but they're the most important thing because language has to do with vibrations. Remember the famous sonogram? They use sounds to penetrate through the body. So sounds do penetrate through the body. The baby's been there for 9 months listening, maybe a little bit muffled because of all the water and stuff, but the sounds clearly, the pitch, the timbre, all sorts of different things have to do with vibrations, and you feel vibrations. And when, as I'm speaking to you right now, I can, if I really focus, I can actually feel the vibrations that my mouth, my throat, my vocal cords are making. Vibrations is the basis of language. Now, Spanish is different than English because, first of all, Spanish has no explosives. We call them explosive in linguistics. That means that you're liable to explode the sound so strong that you might spit on somebody. So in English, we have a distance of about this far if we're going to speak normally. If I try to get closer to a person, that person will more than likely move backwards to keep that space, that so-called personal space, although it has nothing to do with personal, but it feels personal because it goes so far back to our mommies. It goes so far back to when we were born. So English has a distance of about like that, whereas Spanish is half the distance because Spanish has no explosives. So right away, even though this baby now at this age is capable of making sounds, practicing the sounds, mostly vowels, what we call pure sounds. It's a, e, o, u, for example, in Spanish. But he would be practicing all different vowels that could be used in any language, all the 7,000 languages, because he doesn't know what language he's going to be forced to choose in the near future to learn. But he has been practicing all the different vowel sounds, the pure sounds, because he's been crying and he's been making all sorts of babbling sounds, if you would. And as he gets older, he'll make more babbling sounds. But right now they're just either pure sounds or some interruptions in those sounds. So he'll cry, ah, and then he'll stop, and then he'll cry some more, ah, ah. Those stops are what we call pauses as we're speaking. And that's going to grow also into utterances and so on and so forth, which is the way we really speak. We speak in utterances. I'm speaking to you right now in utterances. I can speak slower. I can speak faster if I want to because you can understand them. You're familiar with the pattern of the sounds that are coming out of my mouth. We call it English, but it can be any language. It has to be like that because I don't think any baby doesn't learn to speak unless there's something physically wrong with him. But there's 7 billion people in this world, and all the people speak, but something happens at the age of 3 months, and you will know it. The baby cries for 3 months. Believe me, I've had my own. They cry for 3 months, day and night, and anytime they feel like it, because they really don't know that they're crying. It's an emotion that comes out. It's a natural emotion. So the babbling age is where now he knows that he can make those sounds, and he's been making those vowel sounds, and he'll go back to those vowel sounds, which is crying in all different pitches and tones and everything. And then he'll be trying to make the non-vowel sounds, the and the f, and all of those would be what we call consonants. And we put consonants together with pure sounds in such an order and in such a familiar way that it makes words and then it makes utterances. And then we do the speeching thing, which is my speech right now. We can speak in any of 7,000 different languages that exist today. And it's so easy a baby can do it, right? So we can learn to speak a second language too. That we don't have to go back to the baby stage that far in order to learn to speak a new language. In this case, we're trying to learn to speak Spanish. But this baby is practicing all the sounds that he might be asked to do, to make, for any of the 7,000 languages in the world. So at about 3 months, he realizes that he can make sounds, so he starts to make sounds, and he plays around with that from the age of 3 months to about 4 months, and then 5 months, and then 6 months, and then 7 months, and now at 7 months, 6 or 7 months, he realizes that what he's hearing other people say is becoming familiar to him, especially from his mom. And although the baby cannot understand what the mother's saying, he is slowly starting to familiarize himself with those particular sounds that she is using to speak that particular language. So at this point, he is absorbing, he is listening to these sounds. So he starts to imitate. He hears a sound and he will imitate that sound. So we start the imitation age. In Spanish, this baby would be learning the 5 vowels would be a, e, o, u. So he's going to try to naturally imitate the a, the e, o, u. Only 5 pure sounds. What would happen if he was born to an English-speaking family, whether that be here in the United States or in England or in Australia or in South Africa or even India? What would he be learning if he would be learning English? Those same 5 vowels? Well, in English, there's a lot more than 5 vowels. It would seem that it would be more difficult for a baby to learn 15, 20, 25 vowel sounds or vowel combinations as opposed to 5 in Spanish. So you can debate that all you want, but a baby can do it. He can learn to speak English just as easy as he can learn to speak Spanish. In fact, he can learn to speak both languages because, like I said before, languages are communicated at the speed of sound, and that's a lot slower than the speed of light, we can process at the speed of light. So we can process English and Spanish and German and Swahili and all at the same time, 6, 7, 8. There's people that can speak 15, 20 languages, just like I'm speaking to you right now. As good as this. Not that I'm bragging of how good my English is, because English is a second language to me, but I'm telling you that it should be as easy as anything that you've ever done in your life. But all of those language sounds that he's been hearing sound very, very familiar now. There's either a vowel sound next to a consonant sound, as they say here in America, but it's really a pure sound next to a non-pure sound. All those are non-pure sounds. Where the pure sounds, there's nothing interfering. A, E, O, U in Spanish. So now the baby is growing to the point where he's learning to say mama and dada. Mama and dada are just a pure sound next to a non-pure sound said twice. So it comes out as mama. It should have come out as ma, but it could come out as mama, mama, mama. And it could come out as da 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 da, 3 or 4 times, because they don't have control of their speech yet. So they're trying to say one ma, but they'll keep on saying it sometimes, and so they have to learn that skill too, how to say only a ma when there should be a ma. Like in Spanish, it would be madre. Mother, the word for mother in Spanish is madre. Well, he can't say mamadre, or maybe he might do it at the beginning, but he'll get it down to where the word mother is madre, or mama. And he'll learn to say mama, which in English you don't have to learn the tones there, the accents here, if you can hear it, mama, as opposed to mama. Mama, the first ma goes up, and then the second ma goes down. Mama. 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 Well, the baby is learning to speak Spanish has to learn that. Whereas the person in English, that's not the way English works. You don't change the accented syllable, but one of the mas, mama, as opposed to mama, you don't change them to mean a different thing in English. In English, you just use a different vowel. They got so many vowels. But this is how languages start to seem different. That's why we're comparing languages, so that you can get a feeling into what's going on with this whole journey that you're wanting to try to make in learning to speak Spanish. As adults now, let's put it into an adult phase. As adults, what can we use from what we've learned? Well, we don't have to learn this vibration thing all over again, because we already have it. We already went through this vibration stage. We already went through this finding how to realize that we can actually speak, because we know we can speak, so we don't have to go through these stages. Now the next stage, where he starts to say, where he's practicing from age 3 months to 12 months, where he's practicing all the different sounds that are required in the language, that's what we can start to do as adults. And learn to say the a, e, o, u in Spanish, if we're learning to speak Spanish, and that's what the is about. It is about learning to speak Spanish. So if you want to learn to speak Spanish, you have to learn the a, e, I, o, u. And people think that, well, geez, that's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, that's 5 more things that they really don't want to go through in memorizing. Well, that's the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. That somehow in America we've been misdirected. We've been misdirected into thinking that we have to memorize in order to learn to speak a new language. And I'm here to say that is bunk. You Yeah, memorization is really, really hard. I mean, it's almost impossible. Try to learn the names of 20 people in a row in the correct order. It's almost impossible. You can spend months trying to just memorize that one thing. Learning to speak a new language has nothing to do with memorization. And that's what I'm here to try to talk to you about. That memorization has nothing to do with learning to speak a language. The true feeling should be not of memorization, but becoming familiar. And that's what this baby is doing from the third month to the 12th month. He's been becoming familiar with the sounds that are coming at him from his mom and whatever other people are talking to him, and the sounds that he's making. So he's trying to imitate the mom because he loves her so much. And he wants to feel happy and comfortable. And it puts a smile on her face. And she talks in very beautiful voice. He loves the timbre, and he was listening to that voice for so many months. He's very comfortable. He wants to do that. So if you speak English and you're trying to learn to speak Spanish, well, how does this information help you? Well, this is really good because I say you have to start speaking it right away. You want to learn to speak any new language, you have to start speaking it. But where do you start? Well, that's where you can start. We can start with those 5 sounds in Spanish. A, E, I, O, U. You don't have to memorize them. You have to become familiar with them. And start with them one at a time, just like the baby is doing. At 3 months of age, and 4 months, and 5 months, he'll choose one sound. You can start with the A. That's the A, right? English A. Spanish, the sound. The name of the letter is A, and the sound it makes is A also. So there you go. You kill 2 birds with one stone. But you start practicing speaking. How? Well, you think, well, I'm going to have to memorize all these new words in Spanish and make sure that they have an A in them and then start saying them correctly. No, that's what I mean by misdirection. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to be doing, what the baby's doing, is learning one sound at a time. And he's putting them into his own context. And your own context, if you happen to speak English, would be English. So my advice would be, in order to learn to speak Spanish, you have to learn to speak Spanish using Spanish sounds. Well, what do? Well, you take words that you already know in English that have A's in them and start saying them like a Spanish person would start saying them if they had an A in them, right? For example, the word sail, S-A-L-E in English, S-A-L-E. Try pronouncing that with a Spanish A would be an A. So sail would be sal, 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 sal. There you go, sal. And by saying these words that are supposed to be said in English, by saying them with Spanish sounds, you just learned a new word, sale. You could say sale, S-A-L-E, if you were pronouncing the E, but you're not practicing the E, you're just practicing the A. And that's what I want you to learn to do, practice one at a time. So you're trying to say S-A-L-E, right, in English would be sail, A, it's got an A, that's a sound that it's making, sail. Well, you put an A, and it would be sal, sal. Forget about the E, you're not even talking about the E, you're not learning about the E. You do one thing at a time. Sal. And you've just learned how to say sail in Spanish and learn the actual word for salt in Spanish. Sal. Salt is spelled in Spanish S-A-L. Sal. Well, and that's what you should start doing. You should start learning to say things or words that you already know in English. So there's nothing new you have to memorize. And get one of the vowels, in this case, the first one, the A, and try putting them into English words and start practicing. Your brain is going to register all that without you even having to memorize anything. There's no need, never has been any need, never will there ever be any need to do any memorization when you're learning to speak a new language. You're not learning to memorize words. You're learning to familiarize yourself with the sounds that are coming out so that you can at least understand when people are speaking to you. See, the problem is when you learn to speak one word at a time, as most people do, and the way many people spend a lot of money on trying to learn, and they don't learn anything because they're being misdirected, and people are just making money off of you. But if you learn to speak one word at a time, if you learn to speak the way that you've been misdirected to learn, you're not going to learn anything. You're going to waste all your money because that's not the way you learn how to speak. You learn how to speak by actually speaking, first of all, and you learn to speak in those sounds, and this is the way you do it. You don't have to relearn a whole new language. That's almost impossible, and many people give up because of that. They've been misdirected into thinking it's so hard to learn a new language. So in America, we only speak one language, which is English. So now we're at the stage where the child's learning to walk, and he's learning to say da, mama. So he's learning to use syllables. So that's the next step. You go from sounds to syllables, and then you put syllables into words. And then from words, you start learning how to speak in utterances. And this is what's happening. So right away, he knows what he's supposed to be doing. There's mothers reacting, fathers reacting. When they hold him, they're talking to him, and he's actually talking back to them, or at least he thinks he's talking back to them. But of course, we don't know what babies are babbling about, because they're not coordinated enough to put those babbles together into correct and precise words. But they will soon, they've already conquered the mama and daddy and dada and all this. So they're starting to build a reference on how speech is spoken. And they start learning words. Now they learn that if you put pure sounds together along with non-pure sounds in a familiar way, they make up words. So they're trying to just say any type of syllable that they can, and what they see people reacting to, they will exercise their option to save it in their closet. That's what I call the brain. The brain is really a closet. And if you learn to understand that, it will be so easy, because it's just a matter of filling your closet up with the correct utterances. That is, the correct things that people say in the correct order of words, and so on and so forth. The way that people say it in that one particular language, and you hang it on in your closet, and you're going to use it just like you would clothes whenever you want to go out, in whatever mood you're in, the color, and so on and so forth, the different types of clothes, fashionable clothes as opposed to clothes that you would use at the gym. He starts at syllables, and then they go into words, and they'll start learning one word at a time. Hungry. He learns that word has to do with being fed. So he or she's going to start to learn those words one at a time, and soon he will become very familiar with how the language is spoken, and children will start learning that all day long to learn all these different types. They got nothing else better to do, and then you start putting words together, and then that's another step. That's really one of the last steps, where they finally have learned words like hungry, I'm hungry, go, walk. When he's learning how to walk, when you're learning how to walk, the mother's talking about walking, so he's learning all about walking, and he will learn the verb walk. So he will start seeing, he will start hearing words and processing words in either an action word, walk, talk, play, all of those kind of words, with words that are not actions, that are words that name people, and finds out that languages are about action and people or things. And he learns to put them together, things first and then action. Or maybe it's a type of language that it's the opposite. Some languages, the first words that come out in a sentence are the people words, pronouns, nouns, names of person, and then the action. And sometimes some words are different. And so he learns to play with action and words that name people. So that's what's going on. Pretty soon, from listening and participating in different activities with the family and starting to hear other members of the family and how they speak, and now they're learning how to read, and that's a different step, a different level. Reading and writing is totally different than speaking and listening. So he learns all about this, and then finally when they get to this age, they are so perfect. In fact, they're so perfect that they're dangerous, because anything that you say in front of a child is like that. They're in the stage of just absorbing all the words that they can absorb, and all the utterances, that if you say something that's a little bit out of line, they'll learn it, and people will know who taught this person. So this is, by about this age, about 3.5, 4, they are complete. Now they can start learning all the rest of the language, but they know how to do it now.